John Barnes will lead us in a discussion and tell us what he thought of Diana's speech today.
Diane, I thought the intro that Paula read really set everything up and allowed us to know that we were going to be the parents of one of the kids in the group. So I thought that that was very good. I'm going to talk a little bit about your opening because I think that particularly when you're talking about fundraising, that's something that you could have really used to reach out and grab the audience. And I thought it was pretty mundane. And I thought one of the things that you could have done is you, right after you started, you had the little whispering episode of the grandmother. And that's one thing I think you could have started off with. And with your voice being down, then everybody's going to have to lean into it to hear what's going on. And so I think that could have been used, or you need to use something really loud. But I just felt that the opening really needed to reach out and really make contact with the audience. I really liked your use of props that you had. I thought that that was very good, and each one of those was an outstanding example of things that the parents could do rather than just going up and directly talking about asking people for money. And then at the tail end, I really liked your call to action. I thought that that was very good. So the only thing I had was in the opening. Okay, other comments? Linda?
I think one of the strengths of your presentation is that you framed fundraising in a positive way as providing an opportunity for people rather than some burdensome chore. And I think that was really important to have people kind of shift their thinking around.
I too
Paula?
love the props, and so it costs, it's $40 a month for them to be in the choir. But you could make that seem less expensive by saying that's less than
One
a week's
violin
worth of
lesson.
Starbucks.
One violin lesson.
Oh, there you go. One violin lesson, really? Wow. Or one, oh yeah. very
Your
good.
kids played sports.
Yeah, my kids. Completely different. You're right. It was only this big chunk at the beginning, and then we were free and clear, and not on, well, and they did.
Well, and they don't pay on
scouts,
an
too.
ongoing basis, they just pay once at the beginning, but if you look at dollar per hour, it's really cheap.
Yes.
So maybe some ways of bringing out how cheap it is. I don't know, some analogy there.
I wish I had the form, because you talked about circle fundraising. I would imagine there are other things they could circle as well?
Mhm.
Okay, good. I wanted to just clarify. It's like, well, I know she has the word fund, but, you know, are there, that answers.
Costumes,
Oh,
photography.
so if they help with fundraising, take the fear out of it. Okay.
Okay. Kathy?
Well, yeah, it was really convincing, and your line about Paul referred to, that it's an opportunity, that was a wonderful line. I wanted to capture it, and I didn't. I just got stage fright. Where I was going with that, but to say, there are some, as they were suggested, ways to do that. You went directly from, this is how economical we are, and the director isn't paid very much, till we could raise the rates. That looked like we needed a new director, which felt uncomfortable.
Mm. Mm.
And I was going to point out to you,
Yeah.
the word fun is in fundraising.
Uh-huh.
There might be an angle for you.
So it seems like, and this is not a, you did great up on the stage. The idea, it seems, that you're challenged with is people think it's a chore or onerous to be a part of fundraising. But if you one of the ideas that I've been watching is like crowdfunding, like these. you-
Right.
And so many people want to be involved with a great program. So I don't know if you can call to people's, have you ever been a part of, help somebody else out? Or is that how you feel about this? And try to get them to the point where when they're asking somebody, they're inviting them to be able to enjoy being a part of the success. So you have them identify with having been on that other side. So it's not a going out to get a bunch of no's, but you're trying to say, you've been there where you've been able to, commit to a program and help people. So you're trying to put them in that side of the equation and then say, when you're talking about fundraising, you're just inviting other people to do what they want to do, which is help a bigger cause. So it just seemed like that, if that's your roadblock, is to get people a part of the fundraising, you can give them more examples of crowdfunding or,
Okay. John?
Exactly, I would want to build on that as well. Perhaps you could begin with a set of shared values. I mean, how many of you really get a kick out of something that allows for kids to learn teamwork? How many of you could ask for a show of hands? That might be a little bit too pushy. But you know, and how much is that worth to you? That you know, that's also been over the years. You know, now how much would you pay? But the you know, that might be a good way to get them going. That way you're not having to sell it and already kind of, you show them that they're already customers.
I'd like to build on two things. One, is I agree with the concept of the salary for the director. It came across as, oh, we're gonna lose our director. Or if that's the case, or if it's really an issue, then lay it out in front of them. These directors, they won't be here forever if we don't keep them here by giving them something worthwhile. The other aspect was, is this part of a bigger plan? And is there really a budget that we're needing to expand, and what is that specifically? If it's only the salary for the directors, that's not enough for me. There needs to be something else. Playing for changing the community or helping these kids, you know, they're the ones that have probably seen the change in their children. So building upon that, let's create this legacy for your
Well,
for
and
your
I'd be
younger
interested in
children.
talking
things
to
like
you
that.
more about that afterwards, 'cause trying to figure out the details of what we're trying to accomplish. So yeah, I'd love to get your input.
So Diane, I think you've heard a lot of good things here that will talk more about getting the audience involved and making them feel more a part of your effort to do fundraising. With that, I'll turn it back to our Toastmaster.